overtime where we just got done talking about North America and what happened in week 2 of league play. Now we're going to hop the pond, go over to Europe, do the exact same thing. We got a European on the desk to help us go through all this action. Guys, so North America, we had the reverse sweep again, and we're like, oh my goodness, we've had 3 reverse sweeps in 3 days. And then the very first match, Final Carpet and Shogun are like, oh, maybe we'll have another reverse sweep. Wouldn't that be crazy? And then it actually happened.
Yeah, to no other than the Leftovers, who reverse sweeped the world champions in week number 1 in every single series that they played going to game 5.
Yeah, everything they do seems to be going to game 5 right now. The Leftovers, I must apologize, especially to you, Snaski. Half an hour before your game against Secrecy, I changed my pick to Secrecy. I deserve what happened to me on that one, but that was so well played by them coming back into that series.
Yep, no, talking about Leftovers versus Secrecy here, I was right there with you. I was like, I'm thinking I'm going to change the pick, and I was like, no, I'll have faith. And it paid off here as, oh my goodness, this whole series.
Yeah, the whole reverse sweep. It looked like Team Secrecy had this in the bag, but something in the Leftovers just prevents them from losing in a Game 5 situation.
Yeah, well, what happened is in the first 2 games, actually, Team Secrecy had 21 shots compared to the Leftovers 9. Their shooting accuracy was awful all weekend from Team Secrecy. And as soon as we got to Game 3, where that was the first time the Leftovers actually started to outshoot Team Secrecy, it completely went into the other direction. That third game was 5 goals to 2. And we saw from Sicky throughout this entire series just how accurate he is.
Sicky, exactly right. Sicky, a player, again, we talk about it time and time again. He made it to the first World Championship on Team Mockit. On the second time he made it as Precision Z. This is a guy who's been around, played in these big moments, and in this game, he kept the Leftovers in it and helped them retain their undefeated record and complete that reverse sweep over Team Secrecy. And I thought Team Secrecy, they did have some good moments though, especially Metsonaris. He scored, I think he went 4 goals, 1 assist. He played really well, and Magnus also working well together with him. And a lot had some really impressive touches just to kind of throw off the offense, always getting that touch that allows his teammates to stay on offense. But in the end, the Leftovers, they are just too clutch.
Yeah, they certainly are. Team Secrecy, they gave space to the Leftovers to come back into the matchup. The Leftovers, they didn't even take the space. They completely blew the door down, went forward. Now 3-0 in the league.
3-0. The big question in overtime last week was, are the Leftovers for real? And I'm just going to put this out there, guys. They are for real.
Yeah, well,
they are absolutely for real.
They're second in the world in shooting percentage, first in save percentage at 76.1, and they're second in the world in goals per game, which is crazy. So they, on both the offensive and defensive side of the ball, they're performing.
Yeah, it certainly is, and it's a team, we have a lot of issues with some teams out there where they'll commit to going for consistent passing plays. They'll commit to always trying to hit the ball long, follow up. This is a team that can do everything. We've seen Farah go for those dribbling plays. We saw Sicky this week just pounding the ball down the end, and we saw during the qualifiers how well Snaski can play with the long balls. This is a team that can do everything, and it seems to be just the perfect mix.
Yeah, absolutely. The Leftovers on fire right now in the beginning of league play, but their opponents, Secrecy, started off the season 0-2, then they went up against Penta, finally getting their win here in the second match of week number 2 of Europe. Good to see Secrecy get the win.
Penta, again, one of these teams that snuck into league play. Team Secrecy going into the league, they were pegged, I think it was 3rd in EU at the time.
Yes.
So they were playing quite well, but they've had a little bit of a rough start, but this was a big win for them.
Yeah, certainly was. Penta came into this one with Mummy Snow replacing Pondex. And honestly, Mummy Snow did not look like he was completely out of position on this one, but this was not Team Penta that we saw coming into this one. Yes, you brought Mummy Snow in. Yes, he played correctly. But at the end of the day, that's not the team you entered here with. And they just looked like a very good solo standard team rather than an RLCS caliber team.
Well, you could tell just from the positioning a lot of times on both defense and offense. Mummy Snow going for the same ball as his teammates a lot of the time. And that just comes from not playing with your teammates all the time, because at this level, you are forced to play so incredibly fast and make decisions before you can even communicate a lot of times. And so getting used to how your teammates play, position is critical. So Mummy Snow, I think he did the job of a sub. He came in and he gave Penta a chance to win it, a chance to compete. But in the end, it just was too much for them to overcome, and Team Secrecy was able to get that win.
Yeah, they definitely had an opportunity there. Secrecy getting the win, Penta not able to quite pull it off, and as they've went up to face against Pocket Aces, kind of the same story again. Rough week here for Penta as they dropped both their matches.
In Pocket Aces, this is one of those teams. This is the roster. Pashy, Violent Panda. Pashy is the guy Gibbs picked to be the MVP for EU, and Violent Panda and Pashy, they made it to they finished second place in the world last season. So these guys with Chasset now instead of Devo, they're a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, they certainly are, but they did make this one pretty difficult for themselves at times, not really going in and annihilating the Penta Sports team like we expected them to. Pocket Aces, not as impressive this week, but it is still a win, and they still remain undefeated in the EU League.
Yeah, but they had that game number 1. They lost 5-1. Penta smashed them pretty good. It wasn't looking great for Pocket Aces, but again, that's one of those situations where Penta, they had already played a series versus Team Secrecy. They were warmed up. Pocket Aces had to come in and try to perform, and they got off to a little bit of a slow start, but then in game 3, they smashed them 5-0 and ended up closing out the series, and really all members contributing, but especially Violent Panda. 3 goals, 5 assists. This guy, he still has it. There was one play where he was air rolling all around. I think it was the last second goal where they were already guaranteed the win, but he had a nasty, nasty freestyle redirect to put in the goal. And so Violent Panda, Pashy, these guys up with Chasset now, they're so good.
And they are now tied in the league for first place at the 3-0 as they got the win there, and then they continued on in that fashion to completely just steamroll through Kaunos in a 3-0 for our 4th match of the day. Rough stuff there for Kaunos.
Yeah, this was a tough series for Kaunos. They struggled to get anything going.
Yeah, they certainly did. We're seeing now Violent Panda and Pashy, they're experienced together. They know how to play together. It was a case of last season, maybe Devo overshadowed them, but they're showing how much of a good duo they are. That shot from Pashy that we just saw right there, unbelievable from him, just showing off that mechanical skill. We always talk about how good he is mentally. That right there is how good he is at just playing with his thumbs.
Yeah, there's just such good awareness. And then Violent Panda again. This is that shot I was talking about. Look at that ball. He puts it on net. That was absolutely insane control from Violent Panda. He finished out this series. Out of the 6 goals that Pocket Aces scored, Violent Panda scored 4 of them. He also had the assists on the other 2, so 100% goal participation for Violent Panda. He really stepped up for Pocket Aces this week.
Yeah, Chasset was actually very quiet throughout that series, but it was a case of the duo. They didn't need Chasset to play that one. He just sort of played himself backwards. The duo was constantly finding each other, even coming up with incredible solo plays. And that's what ended up happening. A 3-0 sweep, Pocket Aces looking good.
Now Kaunos, same sort of story as Penta here as they go up against Mockit Aces. Both of these teams dropping both of their series in this day, which is not a good story for them, but good for Mockit as they really needed this win.
Yeah, this was the final series of the day. Mockit Esports was the extreme favorite in this series. Everybody thought, me included, thought Mockit was going to come in and just smash Kaunos, but right out of the gate, Kaunos stole 2 games and was on the verge of sweeping Mockit.
Yeah, at this point right here, when they were 2 games down, I thought that was it. They're completely out of position to try and get a top 2 finish. Instead, they managed to come back from it, played so well. Look at this goal right here. K-Dop coming in huge with his mechanics, and they managed to put themselves still in the race. They are still trying to fight for this.
The Mockit that we thought we knew showed up in game number 3, and they just started demolishing K-Dop and Fairy Peak. These guys just went off. We talk about them as potentially the best duo in Europe, and they really proved it. Fairy Peak had a whopping 1.6 goals per game average this week. And second place, guess who it was? It's K-Dop at 1.2. So this week, K-Dop and Fairy Peak. Yeah, well, I didn't think you would get it right.
Of course I get it, man. The main problem that has been here for Mockit so far is the fact of they are easily the best duo in Europe, as far as I'm concerned. The problem is this isn't 2s. They've been playing 3s. They've sort of struggled during the RLCS to get that duo to work together. You know, Mystic's been playing really well, but it's a different scenario for them, and now it looks like they've finally started to get it right. Very scared for the teams that they've got to take on in the future.
It's because Mystic's using the breakout. He needs to go back to using the Dominus, I think.
Well, the Europe is such an Octane-dominated scene. It's kind of cool. I like to see that they were not playing just the straight Dominus or straight Octane cards. But we can take a look at the European standings here. Kind of 2 categories of teams right now. The teams who are undefeated and then everybody else who has just the 1-win category. Still anybody's game here in Europe.
And it's so difficult. You try to look at, who has an easy rest of their schedule. Nobody. All these teams are so so good. Like the leftovers, they took down Flipside, they took down Northern, but they still have to go up against Pocket Aces and Mockit. So it's not going to be easy for anyone moving forward. I'll be surprised if there is an undefeated team in Europe.
Yeah, I mean, we've only got 2 remaining here. We've confirmed that we're only going to have 1 as soon as we have Pocket Aces and the leftovers playing against each other. So can one of those continue onwards? Maybe. Leftovers, they've got rid of the 2 biggest giants in here, Northern Gaming and Flipside. Pocket Aces still yet to play against them.
It's gonna be a
Who
big
knows?
series.
We'll see. I'm excited to see when that series happens. It's going to be great. But for right now, let's go over and see the top 5 plays from Europe. It was an exciting week of action, and it'll be Leaf and Lawler calling these plays here. Guys, take it away.
When that screen comes over to me, you know what's about to happen. We're about to get some intense plays for you guys. We just went over North America before, and now we have Europe, and they had an abundance of great plays themselves. We talk about duos, reverse sweeps, and just these team plays that are coming in. Freaky decided to do a little differently. We saw him kind of as that third man a lot of the times, trying to break in with Killer on offense. Didn't change here. Freaky came in with a beautiful pass out to Killer. Look how fast that reached the center, and Killer's just been ready for a pass since day 1.
Right. Pondex was out, so they needed somebody to stand up, and Killer was that man, helping out his team in every way possible. But too many times do we focus on these offensive plays. Look at this defensive play from Shawset. The ball barely missing the net. I don't know how he saved this after that shot. He literally scoops it out and pinches it to his teammates, who then take one pass to a shot immediately counterattack. Shogun said from east to west, it doesn't matter. Look at this goal coming out. Perfect placement on every single moment.
That little ice cream scoop out to that counterattack was absolutely incredible. But mind games. This has been a part of the meta for a little bit now, and it didn't stop here. Violent Panda puts a very, very rough spot for the defenders, destroying Freaky's mind, and then getting a flick out of the reach of Mummy as that last defender, and he has all the time in the world to be able to put that one into the net.
Yeah, to do that at the time that he does, right in front of the net, there's people approaching, and he just stays posed. Like, he's not going to get compromised the shot by doing it. But Pashy saw a little bit something from Sicky last week. We saw him sitting on the wall, and he's like, you know what? Gibbs has been talking about how I can be an MVP because I'm a captain. Look at my plays. Waits does a 180 off that back wall and puts a shot perfectly back inside past that last defender. The awareness is unbelievable from Pashy.
That 180 no-scope into the net, absolutely incredible play. Could have been a #1 play, but unfortunately for Pashy, that's going to go to Fairy Peak. At the desk, they were talking about this duo right here, K-Dop and Fairy Peak. During a reverse sweep, we're able to pull this off. One thing that really needs to point it out now is K-Dop, when he came off the wall from the defensive positioning, had 24 boost left.
24
and
boost
he was
go.
up at the front saying, you see me? You see me? Fairy Peak saw him, delivered the pass, while not the strongest shot, was able to sink into the net.
Well, a lot of it had to do because, like you said, he only had 24 boost. You can see him there. He's barely feathering it, using every last amount that he can just to make sure that shot's in. And even though, like, the placement, what was truly important about that entire play.
I've always said it is boost is a crutch. Look at what the pros can do with only 24 boost. Able to get a goal, an insane passing play in the air, 10 years up before that pass even came to him, and delivering into that net. But that was it for our top 5 plays for Europe, and we're gonna send it right back to Wavepunk.
Thanks so much, Leaf. Man, smash banging plays there from Europe here. And as we look forward to week number 3, I can only assume it's just going to get more and more intense as this action goes on.
Yeah, this one, for me, one big series I want to watch, besides the Leftovers series, is that Northern Gaming Mockit Esports series. Northern, one of those teams that I was thinking they were going to be number 2. They lost to the Leftovers. This, if they can get that win over Mockit, would be huge for them.
Yeah, I'm going to have to completely agree with you on that one. Northern Gaming and Mockit Esports, they are both chasing the Leftovers and Pocket Aces. A loss there could put them out of the running for that top 2 position, put them out of the running for automatic qualification for the LAN. Both those teams have to win it. Unfortunately, only one can. Who's it going to be? Oh, we're going to find out early next week as well.
I'm excited to find out. Also, we see the Leftovers going to be taking on Penta. And as a team gets undefeated, every single matchup, it's like which team's going to play upset? Which team will play spoiler to that perfect record?
Will Leftovers go to game 5, I guess?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Yes,
I mean, they're going up against Penta, so Penta 5, probably. I would guess so. Yeah. It's been fun here. That wraps up our wrap-up of Europe. and it's going to be a lot of fun as the show continues here. When we come back, we've got Snasky on the line. I cannot wait to talk to him. He's standing by, ready to go. It's going to be a great time there, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with Snasky.